say that, but I don't think anybody at this table is educated enough to be able to strip down and break down the entire political process from local government to federal government to even talk with a real educated perspective on how this, I mean, we're talking generalities here. For all I know, if I sat down with a political scientist and started talking about, and he said, and he started breaking down every bit of this structure, how it does, it might all make sense.
No, but he is a political scientist. But the thing is,
No, is that what you do?
no, he is. But he is.
Yeah, okay.
But what I'm saying, if we apply,
No, but if that's what it is, that what it is?
Yeah, no, but the point is,
the
point is that the system, this is a Herman Hesse thing, actually.
Make your way to the
No, but literally, no, but seriously, like the systems theory or whatever, systems are what they are. They're like organic things. They work. They have an inherent structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that inherent structure if the after effects, all of a sudden you see corruption, oh, let's just weed out the corruption, the system will be fine. No, the system obviously is constructed in such a way that in the operation of that system, there's an externality, which is corruption, which means that the system is malformed. You know, it's like anything, it's a life system. So you have to deal with how that system is created so that the corruption is not allowable. It can't be sustained by that system. Our system sustains corruption quite well. Yeah, at the size that it is. See, if it was, again, for me, it's about size. It really is about size. And for me...
See, I would make the point that, and
this
is an interesting, because I agree with Christiana a lot of it completely, but I'd also make the point that, and this was actually something at the founding they talked about a lot. There was the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist. And the Anti-Federalists really weren't big on the creation of the federal government in D.C. and all that, because they thought that over time, power would concentrate in D.C. And the system at the founding was much more of local government and state government. That's what government meant to people, and like the federal government really didn't mean much. But over time, it's the federal government has grown stronger and stronger and stronger. So I think in some ways, reforming the system is coming back to some of the best parts of what was once self-government, you know, of what was, and bringing that back. But again, we're not in an 18th century agrarian society. You know, we're in the 21st century. So what does that mean? And I think that's the discussion we have to have, you know, and you know, that's the discussion they had 200 years ago. You know, and so why can't we have that discussion now?
We'll call for a constitutional congress.
Yeah.
Which is what you've talked about. I mean, for me, like, just to answer my own question, what will get me, I mean, I'm already active as much as I can, but what would give me confidence in this I mean, I do not, it needs to be solid reform. But I also think, I have a lot of faith in civil society. Because I think with civil society, meaning anything that isn't government, actually. I have a lot of faith in people taking care of what they need to take care of. And somehow, maybe the future is a strong government that has representation where our money, where budget priorities are more democratized in how we spend our money, but that there's a strong, civil society is empowered to take care of problems also. So it's like civil society, which means all the nonprofits, what Golden Green does. It's all the churches. It's all of the things in between that can help support a healthy and happy life. So how do you utilize that? Which America has a strong civil society. And how do you utilize that? Because basically, when government fails, nonprofits step in. And that's what's so great, is like you've got volunteerism is very high, you know, we've got a lot of people that care about where they live. You've got so many people doing incredible things in their communities. So, you know, is it really then not a governmental thing? You know, which means then they need to lower our taxes. And I'm not saying lower our taxes because I want to lower our taxes, because I believe the government should pay for health and education, all that. But if it's not going to do that, then send that taxes to the nonprofits who are going to do it. You know what I mean? If we can set priorities and say, well, these are our priorities, and you're not going to pay for it, give it to the nonprofits who are going to pay for it, so they don't have to have fundraisers every year to scrape together these tiny pennies to save the world.